You know, there's one epidemic that gradually over the years has come up and creeped up on us, and all of a sudden, boom, during COVID, it amplified, and everybody's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? To the point where the U.S. Surgeon General declared a loneliness epidemic and said, ready? That loneliness can be as damaging to a person's health as smoking, and they even tied a number to it. Here's a number. They said being alone, this was a study published in the journal PLOS, Medicine, loneliness has such far-reaching consequences that the health impact is comparable to smoking, up to 15 cigarettes per day. And by the way, according to CDC, you know how many people died last year from smoking in the U.S.? 480,000. According to World Health Organization, you know how many people died last year worldwide? 8 million. Loneliness, cigarettes, 15, boom. 480 US, 8 million. Are you kidding me? And then when you see the charts, some of the data that we have, is it affecting men, women, generation, school, and during COVID, everything was social distance, kids don't go to school, stay away from people for 3 weeks if you got COVID, and work from home because it's what we got to do. Isolation, 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 loneliness, loneliness, loneliness. And then they tell us this. Why weren't you saying this 3 years ago? We're going to talk about that today. All right, if you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it and let's look at a chart. Take a look at this chart here. This is from U.S. Census Bureau, and look what this means. This is the number of single-person households in the U.S. from 1960 to 2022. Now watch this. Go to 1960. You'll notice that blue. That number is roughly 7 million single-person households in America. Look where it's at today. Roughly today, 38 million people. Now you may say, well, Pat, I mean, the population's gotten bigger, so isn't this supposed to increase? Totally fair. We looked at the population in the U.S. in 1960. You know what it was? 179 million people. You know what it is today? 340 million people. You know how much of an increase that is? Roughly 90%. But watch this. In 1960, single-person households was 7 million. Today, it's 38 million. You know how big of an increase that is? 442%. Meaning, population increased 90%. Loneliness increased 442%. And why is that? Why did this all of a sudden start happening? By the way, some other numbers tell us that over 50% of U.S. adults report feeling lonely, and loneliness today is associated with an increased risk of heart disease, depression, and cognitive decline. Now, let's look at generation to see which one feels the loneliest. According to Statista, 61% of all U.S. adults reported feeling lonely, which is up 7% from last year. And if you look at generations here, women, 45%, men, 46%. So it's not like men is astronomically more than women. It's about the same, 45, 46. Boomers, 50, millennials, 71. But look at Gen Z. 79% of Gen Z feels lonely. And guess who's mostly on their phones like this? Boomers or Gen Z? Gen Z. This is part of the loneliness epidemic. And by the way, you know what's crazy about everything I just said? This chart we just looked at, this is a 2019 chart. What do you think it looks like for 2023? Off the charts. But Statista doesn't have the numbers for 2023 yet. But let's continue. As of 2022, Pew Research Center found 30% of U.S. adults are neither married, living with a partner, nor engaged in a committed relationship. That means 1/3. Next, nearly half of young adults are single, 34% of women, and a whopping 63% of men. You may say, Pat, same age group. How's 34% women, but 63% men? Because women rarely date a man same age. They date the next generation or an older man. So men are sticking around saying, hey, who can I date? There's not a lot of inventory for me to date. 63% of men, young adults, are single. Okay, so if you're watching this and you're one of the 61% of U.S. adults that are feeling lonely, it's probably a good idea for you to talk to somebody. But sometimes you feel embarrassed to go to a therapist physically, waiting in the waiting room, and other people are coming and seeing your coworker. Oh, Larry, what are you doing? You're like, I don't want to go to a place like that. What if they find me? That's why today's sponsor is BetterHelp. Here's what BetterHelp does. BetterHelp can match you to one of their 30,000 therapists in their network, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise than may be available in your area. With BetterHelp, you can have your therapy sessions as a phone call, as a video chat, or even messaging if you prefer that. Whatever's the most comfortable version of therapy for you. To get started, all you have to do is fill out a questionnaire to help access your specific needs, and then you'll get matched with your therapist in most cases within 48 hours or less. You'll be able to schedule your sessions at a time that's convenient for you. If you get matched with a therapist that you don't like and it's not a good fit, no problem. They'll replace their therapist for you at no additional cost. Over 4 million people have used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. So go to our sponsor, BetterHelp.com/Valuetainment to receive a 10% discount off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help you. Now, what typically happens when somebody is lonely? If somebody is lonely, you got a lot of time on your hands. If you have a lot of time on your hands, what do you start doing? You either start living in the future, which produces anxiety, or you start living in the past, which causes depression. Most people live where? In the past. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have broken up with her. I should have talked to her. I don't know why that happened. That's because it was raised this way. It was my mom's fault. It was my dad's fault. It's my brother's, my sister's fault. Depression, depression, depression. So is there a correlation between loneliness and being depressed? When you have people around, you don't have time to be depressed. You're occupied with conversations, with relationships. Watch the data here. Rising trends, lifetime and current depression rates. Look what this says here. So if you look at the green line right there, that's percentage lifetime depression, and the dark blue line is current depression, okay? So let's look at the green, the light green. 19.6% in 2015. It's where now? Look, when COVID hit, it went up and hasn't slowed down at 29%, a 10% increase in 8 years. And if we look at the current depression, it was at 10.5% in 2015. It's at 17.8%. That's an increase of 70% in 8 years of depression. So we wanted to break this down to see who is it? Women, men, age category. If you look at this one chart here from a study done by Survey Center on American Life, you'll notice young women most likely to report losing touch with friends during the pandemic more than others. So look at the dark blue, that's lost touch with most of my friends. Light blue is lost touch with a few of my friends, and green is remained in regular contact. And it shows male, female age category. 18 to 29, they lost touch with most of my friends, 9%, 9 out of 100. A few of my friends, 43, and then it's 46 remaining in regular contact. So men, and if you go older, the older generation remains. They didn't really lose that much of touch. It's mainly the younger. But look at the female 18 to 29 bracket right there. Lost touch with most of my friends, 16. Lost touch with a few of my friends, 43. Remained in regular contact, 40. Lowest bracket. So women 18 to 29 during COVID lost the most contact with their friends. So then the next bracket here talks about young men relying more on parents for personal support. So this shows, if you look at the colors at the top, blue is a friend, green is spouse or partner, pink is parents, then it's children, a sibling, other family members, others, and then refused. Look at all Americans. It shows 16 out of 100, a friend. They seek to for support. Spouse was 53 out of 100, which is the highest one for all Americans, and he got the rest. But if you look at young men, ages 18 to 29, look at their biggest support. That's pink. Pink is what? Parents. So parents for them, they rely a lot on their parents for support. Now let's look at the next one. The number of close friendships that Americans have has declined over the past decades. Watch this. To make this sense, this is out of 100. So if you look at 2021, where it says 12, 1990, it says 3. What this means is, in 2021, when asked how many people have close relationships, 12 people said, none. I don't have any close relationships. Where in 1990, 31 years ago, it used to be 3. So it's 4x'd in 31 years. Today, it's 7 people say that. 1990 was 4, and then 13, 9, 17, 11, 11, 8. Go all the way down to 10 or more. Today, 2021, only 13 people said they have 10 or more close friendships. Back in 1990 was 33 or more. And back in 1990, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok, there was no Snapchat, maybe AOL chat, but we had more close relationships with people than today. What does that say? Now, someone may be watching and saying, well, Pat, are you kidding me? Do I really want to have more than 33 close relationships? That must be such a headache. You know, I've even heard you, Pat, say, you know, you don't need more than 5 best friends, and why would I want to have 33? This is not about 33 best friends. It's close relationship and context. So, does data prove that people who have more friendships, more relationships are happier, more satisfied? Let's take a look. Same study. Americans with more friends report greater satisfaction with how many they have. Look at this. None, 12 completely satisfied. Most of them are not satisfied at all. Then one friend is 15, then go all the way down to 10 or plus friends. Look how many surveyed out of 100. 31 said they're completely satisfied. 44 said they're very satisfied, which means 75 out of 100 who have 10 or plus friends are completely satisfied or very satisfied, versus the ones that don't have any, only 29 out of 100 are satisfied. This is an issue that we see here. All right, so this next one here, men, hang tight, because by the time this is over with, you're gonna kind of think about whether it applies to you or not. So brace for impact. Women receive more emotional support from their friends. Okay, so watch this. Blue, pink. Thank God in this article, blue is for men, pink is for women. So let's kind of break this down. 21 men received emotional support from a friend versus 41 women. Told a friend you love them. Only 25 men versus 49 women. Shared personal feelings or problems with a friend. Men, 30. Women, 48. Women are willing to give more emotional support, talk to them about issues they're going through than men. Men kind of keep it to themselves. They don't talk to other men about the issues they're dealing with. That's also an issue. Now, this next one is for best friends. So a question for you, how many best friends do you have? I know a lot of times we have different names for best friends. Homie, pal, brother, dude, BFF, bestie, forever friend, pal, chum, sister, ride or die, sport, buster, day one, running mate, no matter what it is. Let's see if we have more best friends today than we did a couple decades ago. If you look at this shit from 1990 to 2021, in 1990, 75 out of 100 say they have a best friend. Today, it's 59. 16 less than 30 years ago. So now, why are all these things happening according to the Surgeon General? Here's what they say. According to the Surgeon General, we become more mobile, people move away from home at higher frequencies, and communities become more fragmented, less people live in extended family environments, less participation in community activities. And they even had a study with technology. Watch this one here. In a US-based study, participants who reported using social media for more than 2 hours a day had about double the odds of reporting increased perceptions of social isolation compared to those who use social media for less than 30 minutes a day. So more of this, you're more isolated. Less of this, the less you're isolated. Let's unpack some of the examples of technology harm. So 1, displaces in-person engagement, okay? Monopolizes our attention, reduces the quality of our interactions, diminishes our self-esteem, fear of missing out, conflict, reduce social connection. And by the way, just to be very honest with you, the more we're also consuming stuff on the phone, what are you really thinking about? What are you seeing? It's all crisis, bad news. Did you see what happened? Did you see this video? Oh my God, watch what happened here, watch what happened there. And then all of a sudden you're 62 years old and you're saying, what happened to my kids? What happened to my friendships, my relationships? Oh, wow. That went by pretty quick. Yeah. And by the way, here's also the problem. It also depends what type of content you're consuming. So if you're, most of the content on the internet or social media is what? It's bad, it's negative, it's fear porn, it's death, it's end of the world, we're going to do this. And then some content you're like, wow, what about my life? What about my dreams? What about what's going to happen to me? There's also consequence of negative content you're consuming versus positive. Unfortunately, most of what's online today is negative. I want you to see this here from the Office of the U.S. Surgeon General when it comes down to the national trends for social connection. Look at it from 2003 to 2020. Time spent alone increased while time spent on in-person social engagement decreased. So take a look at this. Social isolation, top left, an increase of 24 hours per month. Look at the spike from 2003 to 2020. Go to household family social engagement, a decrease of 5 hours per month. Companionship, a decrease of 14 hours per month. Social engagement with friends is down 20 hours per month. Non-household family social engagement, down 6.5 hours. Social engagement with others, minus 10 hours. Obviously, everything that has to do with interacting with people has gone down. Everything that has to do with interacting with a phone or a technology has gone up. So we just kept talking about the problem, lonely, depressing. You're probably sitting there saying, oh my God, I feel like I am depressed, but I don't know. Am I sick? Am I going through something? If you are, great. We got some solutions for you. If you're not, be aware of it and share this with others. Here's what I would tell you. A few things that was very concerning for me was stay away from people for 21 days during COVID. No problem. Kids stay home. Don't go play with kids for a year and a half. Okay, no problem. Number 3, work from home. You don't need to go to work to be around other people. Okay, no problem. You can't go to church. Churches are closed in many different states. What do you mean? Can't go to church because you guys are going to be... That's where I used to go to be around other people, to also feel like there's some faith, there's some hope that things are going to be okay. No, you can't do that. Everything that we wanted to do to be around others was, no, you can't do it. So now the consequences are out and yeah, well, you know what? I fully believe in working from home. It's actually not healthy for you to work from home. You're better off being around other people to build relationships, especially if you're single. You don't have a girlfriend, you don't have a boyfriend. Most people meet their spouse, the person they marry, at college, at church, through a friend, at a bar, at work, but they meet them going to a place where other people are also there. By the way, you may say, no, I met mine online. Percentages are against meeting online. It's better to meet people at work that other people also know the history of that person than you go to online and you don't have a clue who they were in the past. You have to take their word for it. You don't even know they went on 73 Tinder dates the last 2 months. And you're the 74th one. Yes, you're the 74th one watching and saying, how the hell do I know what their background is? That's the part about being around others. By the way, for about 7.5 years, I was in a company where most of the leaders at the top were Mormon, and I learned a lot from this religion. I'm not a Mormon myself, but Latter-day Saints, I started started studying what they were doing, Gordon B. Hinckley and all this stuff, their books, all the stuff I was going through, they had something called family night on Monday nights where they would play games, Uno, Monopoly, cards, whatever it was. And that was a topic of discussion. Father would come home, mom would come home, they would play games. And then it was also an opportunity to talk about God with their kids. But it was a tradition. You don't have to do it Monday night. It could be Saturday night. It could be Friday night. It could be a tradition you create with your family to get everyone to get together. Here's another basic skill. Okay, when you go in the elevator, when you're around people, when you see somebody around you, don't just stand there and go like this. Actually look at them and say, oh, hey, how are you? Good. Good. That's what they're going to do to you. You're going to be like this. You're going to say, how are you? Good. You're going to say, oh, I like your shirt. I like your hat. Where are you from? Start a conversation. You impose. You ask the question. Don't wait for them to do it to you. Start a conversation. Guess what? The reason why they act like they don't want to talk to you is because they've been programmed like that a few years. But when you start, they're like, oh, wow. I'm not used to people wanting to talk to me. Nowadays, no one wants to talk to me. They're just on their phones. You break the ice. You start the conversation. You go be around communities, whether it's at a workplace and you're going there getting coffee or getting a drink or getting water. Start conversations with others. Even it's a basic, innocent conversation of where are you from? Another great place to meet people is go to the gym. Go work out. Go lift weights. Go offer to spot. Go offer to help. But go to the gym, work out, meet people there, take yoga classes, take whatever kind of, spin, anything it is to be around other people. It is on you to make sure you're around other people. It starts with you. And by the way, based on all the study that we're talking about here, whether it's around being around other people, exercising, going to church, faith, hope, conversation, camaraderie, it is healthy for your mental health. It's healthy for your state. People who have some of the biggest confidence have people that back them up, friends and relationships. So although all these stats are true, this doesn't mean you have to buy into this way of living. That's the stats, and you don't have to be a statistic. If you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And if you've not seen the video I did on childless women, you must watch this. The stats are staggering. Click here to watch that. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.